It's a me, a Mario. That's not the voice. You'll have to wait to hear the voice.
So the Mario movie came out about, what, 2 weeks ago now by the time this video actually comes out. So I know I'm a little bit late to jumping on this current topic thing, because if I was smart, I would have released this, you know, within the week the movie actually came out. But I just really wanted to talk about the Mario movie because I loved the hell out of it. I still cannot believe the complete 180 this movie did for me that I do want to get into in this video, because I think I went from being one of the least excited people in the entire planet for an Illumination Mario movie to seeing it twice in the same week. Although this morning when I saw it for the second time with my brother, they had an issue with the projector, so like for 15 minutes we got to experience the Mario movie in podcast form. Which was certainly an interesting experience. Let's just go back a little bit before we talk about the actual movie. The build-up toward this movie coming out has been such a journey, honestly. Who could forget the iconic day when they first announced the cast for it and everybody went absolutely apeshit over it?
Looking forward to great comedic moments. Even though this is a Mario movie, Donkey Kong will also...
That was the fucking best day on Twitter in the entire world. After that Nintendo Direct, it had me dreading this movie's trailer coming out. Like, genuinely, I'm not even exaggerating. I was, like, genuinely upset at the idea of them releasing a trailer for this movie because I really did not want to see what a Mario movie by Illumination looked like. As I'm sure most of you are very well aware by now, after the incredibly commercially successful 1993 Mario Bros. Movie that I will defend with my dying breath, Nintendo became incredibly defensive of licensing out their properties to other mediums. I mean, there was Detective Pikachu, actually, which I think the world has collectively forgotten about. I absolutely love the shit out of that movie, but I feel like I've not heard a single thing about it since, like, it came out, despite being, like, the second highest grossing game adaptation of all time. I don't know, maybe that was, like, Nintendo testing the waters to see how a movie would go. So then, after all that time, they went with the fucking guys who made Minions Rise of Gru. Honestly, though, I know they get a lot of shit, but I've never really had that big of a problem with Illumination outside of Minions. Like, all of the movies I've seen from them I've pretty much enjoyed. Like, the only one that I've seen from them that I've, like, legitimately not liked is Minions, for obvious reasons. But yeah, even still, I was really not excited to see what a Mario movie from them was going to look like. And after that first cast announcement with absolutely no information being released whatsoever for ages, it was, like, just absolutely terrifying being left to our imaginations trying to picture what this movie was going to look like.
First, of course, is Mario, who will be played by Chris Pratt. He's so cool.
And then I think like a year or so later, our very first look at Mario in the movie was from a leaked Happy Meal promotional render that somebody found on Twitter. But I remember specifically, more recently, what won me over was the fake ad they did with Mario and Luigi with the Mario Super Show theme, which turned out to actually be in the movie. That was the exact moment that I started getting hyped in the last few months leading up to its release. Anyway, let's talk about the actual movie now, okay? So, talking about the voice cast, first and foremost. Chris Pratt. Actually pretty good. I'm still not sure why they went with him out of all people outside of money, but you get used to it as the movie goes on. Honestly, I think he did a pretty good job.
Koopas!
Hot take, but I've always preferred Mario with the goblin voice he had in the Super Show anyway.
Don't worry, Princess. Luigi and me will climb that mountain before you can say spaghetti and meatballs. I can't! I'm allergic to mountains!
Charlie Day's Luigi obviously was incredible. I think we all knew that when that was first announced. Luigi in general just needed to be in the movie more, honestly. Dude was sidelined so hard for no reason. Girl Boss Princess Peach was so good. Anya Taylor-Joy as Peach was one of the most inspired casting decisions of all time. I think she was one of my favorite parts of the movie, honestly. Jack Black, obviously. Goes without saying. Seth Rogen's Donkey Kong, I think I was one of the only people I knew that liked that casting. I thought he was pretty good. Like, he doesn't really do a voice in the movie. It's kind of just his voice. I think he needed more like Donkey Kong monkey noises, but I actually thought he suited Donkey Kong pretty well. But Toad.
Do not touch that mushroom, you'll die!
Get him out of the movie. We don't need him. And I was really happy to see all of the real life, like, Brooklyn stuff come back. I know Mario's backstory isn't, like, super deep, but that's always been one of my favorite parts whenever they try and explain where he comes from. I'm not sure if that's actually been in any of the games outside of, like, the Super Show, but I have always loved that idea of where Mario and Luigi have come from. Just a regular-ass neighborhood. Now, long-time viewers of this channel will know, as I said before, that I am a very big fan of the original Mario Bros. Movie, which was equally as loved by critics at the time. I am probably one of the only people in in the entire world who unironically said that they were worried this new one wouldn't be as good as the 1993 one. Both movies kind of take a bit of a similar approach to adapting Mario, at least initially anyway, with how they both start off as like ordinary plumbers in Brooklyn that end up in the Mushroom Kingdom through a portal that appears out of literally nowhere. Although they made it look a little bit more like the games in the Illumination one. And yeah, going off of that, that's one of the biggest strengths of this new one. It is just like visually gorgeous. Like they really brought everything to life. It's so pretty. I've been doing a lot of reading online of what people seem to think, and most of the complaints seem to be directed toward the pacing and the humor, which yeah, was kind of I was gonna say that I understand why the movie is so short, because usually kids' movies are capped at like an hour and a half because they have the shortest attention spans on the planet. But then just today, I found out that Sing 1 is an hour and 48 minutes long. So like, why? What this movie does make time for, though, is an unbelievable amount of references. There are so many in the background that even seeing it twice, I still don't feel like I spotted them all. They've got obvious ones like Mario Galaxy and Sunshine. They've got power-ups from Mario 3 and 3D World. Spike from Wrecking Crew is like Mario and Luigi's old boss. What a deep cut that one is. They got the DK rap in there. They didn't credit the composer for some reason, which would have taken a single Google search, but I mean, at least it's in there, right?
I just feel like for me, it's impossible to separate my bias and love for the series with like the movie as its own thing.
I'm sure most of the general audiences watching this film didn't used to spend hours on the Mario Wiki as a kid because maybe they had like, you know, a life. I don't know what this one will be like if you're like not too familiar with the Mario series, but
I did go in with the assumption that like everybody has played Mario at some point, right? Or at least like knows the general gist of it, surely.
After I watched the movie the first time, one of my friends, she asked all of us like whether Mario and Luigi were cousins. They are called the Mario Brothers. But yeah, I totally get, like, if you're not a fan of the series and sitting there clapping every 5 seconds when fucking strolling Stu from Mario Sunshine shows up in the background, you know, why this wouldn't be as enjoyable of an experience. So I definitely do understand the low Rotten Tomatoes score, which we will get back to. There is definitely a lot they can improve on in the sequel, and if it's anything like Sonic 2, they're going to make the first movie look like shit by comparison. So I can't wait to see where they go from here. The biggest problem I had, though, we need to talk about the licensed music, okay? Guys, we need to stop with the licensed music. Illumination, listen, bro. I know you made like 2 entire movies out of like just licensed music, but the Mario movie was gonna make like $10 trillion anyway. We did not need to have Take On Me in there. Or like, even if you have to have it, at least pick stuff that we haven't heard like a million times in other movies. Hearing Holding Out for a Hero will never not make me think of Shrek 2, and nothing will ever change that. Honestly, it bothered me a lot less the second time round, maybe because I already knew it was coming, but like, it does kind of take you out of the movie a little bit, like especially in the Mushroom Kingdom scenes, to hear like Thunderstruck by AC/DC. I feel like the Mario series has some of the best music you could possibly like take from, and they do use some of it to their credit. A lot more than the Sonic movies, that's for sure, which is definitely one of the bigger problems I had with those in a series renowned for how good the music is. Yeah, no, there were like plenty of scenes where they do use the music from the games, and it was like so much better than any bit with licensed music. I feel like we are finally getting to the point where we are getting more good video game adaptations than bad ones. There are still plenty of not very good ones coming out, don't get me wrong. I don't think anybody liked that Halo TV show, but stuff like Arcane and like The Last of Us, which I haven't seen but I hear is very good, you know, Sonic 2, Mortal Kombat, no, just me. So maybe, just maybe, the Five Nights at Freddy's movie will be good.
And with the Rotten Tomatoes score, didn't the exact same thing happen with Sonic 2? I don't remember hearing nearly as many people complaining about that one. And like, did that really affect anyone's enjoyment of that movie, honestly? With this movie's enormous box office success, which is unbelievably impressive, oh my god, they're gonna make so many more of these. Surely in the sequel, they're gonna have like Wario and Waluigi in there, right? It's gotta be Danny DeVito and Willem Dafoe, surely. I will see the sequel 15 times if they do that. I am really excited to see what a sequel to this could look like, because as much stuff as it feels like they crammed into this movie, it still somehow feels like there are so many other Mario things they haven't even touched yet. Like, I guess I'll have to wait another 2 or 3 years to see Yoshi and Daisy on the big screen. That's alright. Nintendo curiously also said, though, that they would definitely consider doing other adaptations of their games if the Mario movie was successful. So, Zelda movie, right? Not by Illumination, please, but surely Zelda movie, right? Anyway, that's pretty much all I've got to say. I just really wanted to stand in front of the camera and talk about it. Be sure to let me know down in the comments what you thought of the film. It's very divisive at the moment. You know, whether you agree with me and think it was great or thought it was complete shit, feel free to let me know. But I absolutely cannot wait for that inevitable Luigi's Mansion movie.